At 3:30, guys, we got the number 6 seed, the 49ers, at 10-7, traveling to Dallas to play the Cowboys, which are the 3 seed at 12-5. Cowboys favorite by 3 points on CBS. So let's go over the injuries real quick. The Niners have some that they're not all like really bad, but there's some worth mentioning, right? Right off the bat, you got some running backs, right? Trenton Cannon has a concussion. He's supposed to return this week, so we'll see if that holds up. But if not, you have some really good running backs in the backfield anyways, right? I don't think you really need Trenton Cannon outside of the return game. That's the only reason I think Trenton Cannon's a valuable player. Raheem Mostert has his knee injury. He's also out with COVID, but you still have Elijah Mitchell, who, before he got hurt, was still, in my opinion, a candidate for Offensive Rookie of the Year. You have JaMychal Hasty, you have Jeff Wilson, you have Trey Sermon, who was like a third-round pick. He has not done that much this year, but regardless, you have Mohamed Sanu. He's a knee injury on IR. It's supposed to be back this week. We'll see. Mohamed Sanu would be a nice little addition to this receiving core. Defensive end D Ford, he's a back injury. He's out for the year. Defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw has an ACL injury. He's out for the year. Weak side linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair has a knee injury, limited practice, questionable for the game. He's still listed as questionable on the official depth chart. Marcel Harris has an Achilles injury, also limited practice, questionable for the game. On the other side of things, you got quarterback Jason Verrett. He has an ACL injury. He's not coming back this year. You have some safety injuries, if we're going to be honest. Talanoa Hufanga, he's a knee injury, limited practice, question for this game. Tyvon Wilson, foot injury, on IR at least until this week. So we'll see if those two come back. But if not, you have only one healthy, strong safety. And on the other side of things, free safety Tarvarius Moore has an Achilles injury on the PUP list. He's not coming back. That's for sure. So that means you have, if this holds out, only 3 healthy safeties. So if a safety gets hurt, you are in some trouble. If you're Jacoby Tart and Jimmy Ward are obviously the starters. Jared Wilson is the backup, 7th-year player, undrafted out of Michigan. He might actually have to end up seeing some time if there is, in fact, an injury on the starting safeties. And then you got the punter, Mitch Wishnowski. He's officially listed as good, but he was listed as had a concussion yesterday. He's questionable for the game, but you know that Mitch Wishnowski he's a player. He's gonna play. Ambry Thomas is going to be the kick returner, thanks to the injury to Trenton Cannon. Ambry Thomas is listed as backup kick returner. So Ambry Thomas, 2021 third-round pick out of Michigan. He's a corner. I believe he's the one that made the pick. That makes me hate him. But, yeah, the 49ers have some injuries, obviously, but the Cowboys have some too. The first ones I'm going to mention aren't huge, but I feel like all of them are going to be mentioned because I just want to mention them. Quarterback, they have Will Grier. He has undisclosed injuries on IR. Running back Rico Dowdle has a hip injury. He's out for the year. Fullback Siwa Olanulua has a neck injury. He's also out for the year. Wide receiver Michael Gallup towards ACL. So he's out for the year. They're not going to have Michael Gallup. That really hurts their team. So that means you got to rely a lot more on Cedric Wilson, and then Noah Brown has got to step up into the Cedric Wilson role, because Cedric Wilson did have a role. He had the number 4 receiver. He would come in for slot plays. He had ability on this offense, and they needed him at certain times on this offense. On the other side of things, TJ Vasher, not a hugely important player, but he has a knee meniscus injury. He might come back for this game off IR. Don't think they really need him. I don't think he's going to be any better than Malik Turner, Simi Fehoko, or Noah Brown. I think he'll actually be significantly worse than at least Noah Brown, but we'll see if they actually use him. Defensive tackle Brent Urban, he's been out for a lot of the year, but he's a triceps injury. He's out for the year. Middle linebacker Keanu Neal's not going to be able to play in this game, which is important because they only have one middle linebacker on their team. So they normally run 4-3 sets. It's not like the Saints where you lose the linebacker, like, okay, I don't really care because they only play 2 linebackers anyways. They play nickel mostly. This team plays a 4-3 defense, and they don't have that many linebackers on their roster. Strong side linebacker Jabril Cox has had an AC injury out for the year for most of the year now. So that means stepping up a middle linebacker, they might actually have to move. They might have to do one of three things, right? They might either have to, number one, switch to a nickel defense, just play Leighton Vander Esch and Michael Parsons, and then go like Anthony Brown, J-Ron Kearse, DeMonte Kazee, and Trevon Diggs and Kelvin Joseph. They could do that. Their other option is to move Leighton Vander Esch. I think that's who you would move to middle linebacker to do the communications, and then start Luke Gifford at a weak side linebacker. Luke Gifford, if you did not know, is Luke Gifford is a fourth-year player out of Nebraska, undrafted. I don't think you would switch Michael Parsons over, and then the one linebacker that you would have as backup would be Francis Bernard, the third-year player out of Utah, also undrafted, only have 4 tackles on the year. So one of these guys, if they don't do just normal defense, you're either putting in a guy that has 11 total tackles on the year or 4 total tackles on the year, not a bunch of guys that see a lot of playing time. Or you could just go with the normal, put Luke Gifford or Francis Bernard at middle linebacker. That's probably the worst of the 3 options, if you're going to be honest, because middle linebackers normally call a majority of the plays, and you don't want a guy that hasn't been on the field for only a couple snaps this year, calling the plays for the defense. That's not the smartest move in the world. At cornerback, you have Reggie Robinson. He's listed, he's a toe injury. He's out for the year. And then strong safety Israel Mukwamu. It's a hammy. He's also out for the year. They're pretty still deep at safety, so I wouldn't worry too much about that if I was them. Their backup kicker / punter, Hunter Niswander, he has an undisclosed injury. He's on IR as well. Probably like one of those, get hurt so that you can keep him on the roster. You don't think he's good enough to supplement Greg Zuerlein quite yet, but you don't want to lose him to some other team, so you keep him on IR with an undisclosed injury. So what do I think of this team? I think this game's going to be really good. If I'm going to be honest, you got Jimmy Garoppolo.
Have you ever had a dream that you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
You got him playing. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a good game manager, but if I had to rank the quarterbacks in this playoffs, he would probably be 13. He'd probably be 12 on my list. Obviously, I thought Mac Jones would be the worst quarterback, and I think Big Ben Roethlisberger is the second worst. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is the third worst quarterback. I think he's a little bit worse than Jalen Hurts. I would rather have Jalen Hurts on my team than Jimmy Garoppolo. But Jimmy Garoppolo obviously made big-time plays last week that kept my Saints out of the playoffs. But regardless, I think he's not that great of a quarterback. He made some big-time plays against the Rams, but I think the Rams are a little bit overrated. I thought they were underrated to start the year, but overrated, and here we are. I think the Niners are a pretty good football team, though. I think their defense is extremely solid. They have an elite ground game, and I think they're going to beat the Cowboys. I'm taking 2 risks early on. Give me the wild cards to win in the NFC. Give me the Niners to pull off the huge upset.